Check, check, check. Oh, that. All right, mics are looking much better. Test, test. All right, there we go. Okay, been a little minute, folks. Hope everyone's been doing fantastic. I have been away for some time, as you all know. It's been a very, very, very rough time. For those of you who work full-time jobs and have kids, I applaud you. I don't know how you do it and learn how to trade. So, mad respect for everyone who is currently working on life as well. So, lots of good stuff happening this week. Elections are coming up, and hopefully you go out and vote. It doesn't matter who you vote for, but make sure you go out and exercise that right to vote. There's a lot of really good stuff going on this week, though. So let's head over to weekly prep and see what we are looking for today. So we're going to head over to our left side monitor. So this week, you all know that this is going to be one of those weeks that has non-farm payroll on Friday. So Monday, Tuesday, you're going to get a large chunk of those moves. You have red folders every single day, except for Monday. And then Tuesday, 10 a.m., you're going to get a 10 a.m. silver bullet. Probably on Wednesday, you'll get something similar in the early a.m. It might be a little choppier, but we got Thursday unemployment claims at 8:30 a.m. Afternoon is going to be really iffy to trade. And then, of course, Friday morning, non-farm employment. It'll be worthwhile trading afterwards. So typical week where you're going to probably see a higher low of the week on a Thursday, maybe a Tuesday. There's something every single day of the week, so it's harder on these weeks. This could have a lot more volatility. So when there's a week that has a lot of red folders, you just be a little bit more cautious. And yeah, as you can kind of see on the markets, and take a look and see what we got here today. So we're looking at NASDAQ right now. You can kind of see what happened overall today. This is where price is currently. Price has a nice gap up. So this is going to be important to mark out for the rest of the week. This week's new week opening gap. Okay. So I would recommend you mark that out. If I grab the 15 minutes, I think this was previous week's. So we're going to grab one here and bring it all the way over here. So we have it on the 1 minute chart. And we're going to make sure we mark our new week opening gap first and foremost. So let's make sure we get that there. It's a big one. So you're going to want to find the close of the last week and the open of this week and figure out where that might lie. So that's the current item there. I do want to have the midpoint here as well. So see if I can grab that. That's roughly around midpoint between those. And then, of course, I'm going to go ahead and mark these as old new week opening gaps. So it's still within 5 weeks, so I want to keep it on my chart. But I don't want my eyes to be drawn to it as much, so I can mark those as gray. Okay, so outside of that, I'll make these exact a little bit later, but this is good enough for now. We see there's a huge liquidity void. So I imagine that's going to be a draw at some point this week, unless it just completely gives it, lets it go. Now, we just took the initial buy side liquidity here, and we have initial minor sell side liquidity down here, relative equal lows. In fact, these are even nicer relative equal lows. I think this is a nicer target. So let's mark those out as well. I'm going to mark these out as buy side liquidity. Okay, cool. So you can kind of see how price has all this. This is our initial balance low. This is our initial balance high. We've taken the initial balance high out, but we have what? A rejection block up here on the daily chart. We have a giant wick in the previous week. So if you recall, we have this enormous wick, which we traded down from at the end of the on TGIF trade, right? So that was something that I did end up playing a bit. But now we're right in the middle of this sell side imbalance, bearish order block. This was a nice displacement down. We've now come back up above it and tagged this once, twice. So the question here is, does this continue up higher to tag these relative equal highs here? Or, and then do we continue going for these relative equal highs? That is the key, right? What do we expect? Do we expect price to go for this up here? And if it does, then what should happen, right? So what are we trying to frame this week? That's the key. So let's take a look at the highest level first, and then we'll go down from there. Okay, so let's look at the monthly. So monthly chart is here. You can kind of see how the previous months we've dipped down, grabbed this area of liquidity, and then have done nothing but had big monthly candles. So August, September, October. October's shaping up to be a up candle as well as we get into the month of November. And so what have we done so far? We've already hit the consequent encroachment of this right there. That was the high of last week. So this is the consequent encroachment of that wick. You can't get much more perfect than that. I mean, and mine's a little imperfect, but it's really, really uncanny how much that month traded up to the 50% mark and then has used that as a rejection. Now, do I think that it's going to stop there? No. I think that we are going to continue, especially since we traded up, traded down. Once we had this down close candle, we traded up, traded up, traded up. We're above it. We're in that midpoint. I think we traded down to the low point of this body, but we closed above the body. So from a monthly perspective, I think that we are still likely to head higher. So I'm framing my trades mostly on the long side. What does that mean now if you go down to the weekly? Does that mean that it's going to go there in a straight shot? No, absolutely not. So what do we see on the weekly? We see two relative equal highs here. They look like one short-term high on the weekly chart, but I guarantee you there's more there. So on the longer time frame, I would say you can treat this as kind of like a relative equal high up here on the weekly chart. That's definitely a buy side liquidity. So I'm going to mark that as our week one buy side liquidity. So I'm going to keep an eye on this, of course, since that is our all-time high. And of course, you've got these items which you marked on the lower time frame. A lot of these we don't need anymore, like this midpoint on the weekly chart. We don't need this anymore. We've traded up to it multiple times, so I don't need to take that anymore. Some of these other ones as well. A lot of these purple ones are new day opening gaps, so I'll be going back through and clearing those. But I don't want to clear everything yet because I have my new week opening gaps on there as well. So I'm trying not to clear those just yet. So you can kind of see how these new week opening gaps, they span 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks roughly. So that's why I keep them on as long as I can. But oftentimes I forget to make them gray. So I want to make sure I do that, so that I recognize that those are old new week opening gaps, because on NinjaTrader, I haven't found a good way to make those not the same color. So you can kind of see how those have continued over time. I'm going to get rid of these here. That was a gray pool. There's daily gray pool there as well. Gonna get rid of these as well. If I can, if it'll let me. And of course, we have this short-term low down here. that can continue to serve as a potential sell side target, but you can kind of see how we've not made a lower low ever since we made this lower low here. So this is an intermediate term low. We haven't gone below that, so we are still on the macro bullish trend. Now, if you take a look at something like this, we were on a bearish trend here until we made a macro short-term high, kind of an intermediate term high here. And actually, there were other ones down below. If I can find that, anytime that there's a candle where there's it immediately gets rebalanced, that also serves as an intermediate term high. But on the weekly chart, we're still macro bullish until we see us break down below this intermediate term low. I think that I'm going to continue to, and even this one here, see that buy side imbalance that got pretty much immediately rebalanced, that I can treat as an intermediate term low too. So I'll be looking to that level, this specific level, as a level where if we drop below that, then I'll consider going bearish and targeting these PD arrays. But for now, I'm going to be targeting this all-time high as we lead into the November elections. Potentially this rejection block here. So you have three bodies that are closing or opening at roughly the same area. So I will be watching price very closely around here. I do think that that is a potential buy side liquidity. So I'm going to mark that as such weekly. We're going to mark that as weekly rejection block buy side liquidity, because we can't see that on our charts when we go down into our lower time frames. So now we're down at the daily time frame, right? So you see those weekly levels over here at the daily level, and you see this weekly sell side imbalance, which we've now come up and down into. So remember, this was something that we expected consolidation right when we hit it. So we've seen quite a bit of consolidation. It's not just one big giant like bar, right? So now that we're starting to, like, what we would need to see is we need to see a close above. Once we see that close above, there's no question to me we're going to aim for this weekly rejection block here. So that's going to be the draw on liquidity for me, as well as these highs in the previous week, these two specifically. So this, I do think we're going to still take this out. Last week took out the previous week's high and low. So those are still valid. I would say within this week, you can also treat these wicks here. You can see where the midpoint is on them and use that as a PD array. So if I take this here, take this here, you can kind of see how this area is roughly a, I think it's going to be an area to target. I think that similar to how this was a volume imbalance over here, I believe that this will also be used as a gray pool on the weekly chart. Okay. So I like that area as a gray pool. I think it could serve as a sell side area of to target. And yeah, this whole area down here right beneath the weekly profile, that is an area that I think if we trade to it, I would like to see us bounce up from there. So I would keep that on their charts as well. And yeah, if we trade up first, we might come down here and then tag these later on in the week. But yeah, that's what I see for the week. I expect us to trade down to this area at some point this week. And I expect us to continuing to aim for breaking the buy side liquidities that get created earlier in the week. So I anticipate a relative equal high created during the beginning of the week. Maybe Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, low of week. Maybe we bust down through all of this because it's non-farm payroll. And then, of course, Friday, we're going to see a nice big amount of range. And it's going to be high volatility. So that's what we're focused on this particular week. That is all I'll be aiming for. I don't get to trade at all during these weeks now, mostly because I have mostly because I have to return to work 3 days a week. So I'm not gonna be able to trade much this week again, but I did take one trade last week, and it was this trade here. So the whole week, I had no trades the entire rest of the week. On Friday, I was looking for a TGIF trade. I saw this first stage distribution, took that second stage distribution down 30 handles, aiming for that purple square you see there is the first presented, well, actually, that's not the first presented fair value gap. Hold on. Yep, that's the incorrect one. Actually, this was just a buy-side imbalance, so I should mark that as such. So what I did is I targeted, and what you'll find here is that this over here, oops, this down here, that is actually your first presented fair value gap. So I used that as a target. I noticed that it reached towards that. And then you also have a real-time hour chart that it reached down for as well. So if I pull that one over, this is the real-time hour chart on NASDAQ, but similar thing where it had found its way down into that gap. So I figured there was a little bit more for it to go. It did. What could it run for? This buy-side imbalance. So I took that trade and got out of it a little bit early, but I was getting back into trading. So it was a really nice little, almost $1,000 play, which is good, using 1 micro and 2 micros maximum. So still practicing using demo, executing when I see a play that matches the setups that I like, and still staying very disciplined to that. I'm okay with using 1 or 2 micros for quite some time, because if I can't pay attention to the markets, I have no reason sizing up. That's just asking for pain later on, right? If you can pay attention to the markets, then you can probably size up a little bit more. I think Apex is having like another sale. It's the typical 80% off sale. They changed a lot of their rules, so I need to take a look at what the rules are now. I don't have an issue with maintaining the 30% consistency rules or anything like that. I think that they're fantastic rule changes. I've read over them over the past week or so. No big deal with them. I think I still trade consistently anyways with a consistent stop loss. So not trying to gamble with these accounts, okay? So I still have the 10 performance accounts, and I'm still digging my way out very, very, very slowly, since I cannot trade during the week. Since I'm at the office Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, some of the most prime days to trade. So I have to make do. I have to make do with looking for TGIF trades on Friday. I have to make do with looking for, I really hate trading on Monday, even though right now I would be looking for a short, right? So let's go back to, so on the daily chart, the daily is going to follow the weekly analysis. I do think that we will eventually come back down into this gap. I think that might have been enough. I'll have to see I'll have to see how this continues, but there are relative equal highs up here we can reach for, and I think that that's very valid, that it can still reach for those. If I want to do one thing though, I want to move that there so that we can draw out some of the buy-side liquidity, which you might be reaching for. So this buy-side liquidity here, these relative equal highs, I do think that there's a high likelihood we reach for those as well. Or the thing that would be probably a little bit make more sense would be that we reach above this one, but maybe we stop just short of the midpoint of these wicks here. I would say that's likely going to be a really nice draw on liquidity. If you take the midpoints of each of these and you draw that out, that's likely going to be the liquidity that gets taken. They'll stop just short of this and then maybe drop it back down, come back down into here, potentially down into here, take out sell side liquidity. And there's even a whole bunch more sell side liquidity here if I look at the 15-minute chart, right? But do we engage that? We've already taken out a lot of sell side liquidity here. So would we want to potentially engage that? My guess is no. But then again, we haven't come down to this fair value gap down here on NASDAQ yet. So I think towards the middle of the week, maybe we see us aim for these relative equal lows down here and this buy side imbalance. It could keep this open. It could just be a breakaway gap and we just completely let that go. But at the very least, I think that we want to watch for short setups by seeing a failure swing happen in the beginning of the week up here, target this low and the midpoint of this new week opening gap, right? Oops, I put the wrong one as gray. This one should be the actual new week opening gap. And this one should be gray. There we go. So this new week opening gap you see here, I would target the midpoint of that after we see a failure swing in the beginning. So what is a failure swing? Well, failure swing, for those of you who are new to ICT, is a situation where you have kind of like this comes up, takes out a short-term high here, maybe stops short of that, and then fails below this low. Once that happens, you can then take a return on this and target this as a market maker sell model, potentially even targeting all the way down to the midpoint. So that's kind of what I'm looking for the first portion of the week. Could it just completely go off without us and just keep rising like crazy? Yes. People could be pricing in a Trump presidency because we do have the elections happening November 5th, and that's next week. So it's going to be an absolutely crazy week. Next week's going to be really fun, and I hope you guys are able to trade. I won't be able to. I have a lot of work escalations going on right now that I kind of have to focus on the main job, right? You can't ignore the main job for a item and a hobby that you want to make real. You can't quit cold turkey. It would just be a very risky move if you don't have other support. Like if your spouse isn't making, your 70, 80K a year that you need to survive, right? There's a lot of those considerations going on right now, and I personally am not able to trade during the week, which handicaps my perceived growth quite a bit, but I'm still able to find 30 handle moves, and if you can find 30 handle moves, that's like, $1,000 every single time there, essentially. With 1 or 2 micros, like I think I used 2 micros across 5 accounts, 1 micro across 5 accounts. So yeah, definitely possible. If you can scale, great. I think I also traded a little bit of I had some old evaluations I forgot to cancel. And yeah, I think I started to trade maybe like one mini on those. So 30 handles was maybe 600. I think it was like $600 maybe. Yeah. Let me see. Yeah, it was like 600 some dollars plus, and then you got to consider commissions as well, right? So I'm probably going to see if it's possible to get those in a good standing and just slowly rack up accounts and, continue to trade copy them. I think I've gotten, like, once you trade copy enough, you don't really fear it anymore. You see that the market isn't going to care about your 20 mini or 20 micro accounts, micro lots that you're trading. They could care less. You just have to make sure that your entries are in tune with the algorithm and you'll be good. So, yep. That's it for this week. I don't know. Are there any questions from folks here? I apologize. I'm not able to do too much during the week anymore. I know I used to try and go live every single day, but it just became really tough. I will be going live though. So, towards the end of November, I'll be taking a week off around Thanksgiving timeframe, so I will be trading during that week. And then in December, the last 2 weeks of December, I will be trading. I love those weeks. The Santa Claus rally is real, and it's an election year too, so they might do some weird things. But everyone's seemingly pricing in a Trump presidency right now, and I think we're gonna see all-time highs. So yeah. Let me check the chat and see if there's anything here. I'll say hello. Doesn't look like there's too much here though. So let me see if there's anybody actually watching this. We got 2 people watching. So thank you very much. Appreciate you being here. I appreciate you just shooting the shit and being able to find liquidity. So my whole goal while I'm working is identifying liquidity before price happens and then seeing if it actually reaches it, right? So that's one exercise I can do as a person who isn't able to trade live very frequently. So and yeah, so I think that we're gonna end up reaching towards this high, and it does look like price is going to continue to erupt here. Absolutely crazy run during this Asia session. I'm not chasing this, but there's a high likelihood that it's reached this rejection block here now on the daily chart, right? So if you remember on the weekly chart, we had another rejection block a little bit higher. The daily chart just reached this rejection block here, and it does seem like it's not stopping anytime soon. So I would look to see what happens when we breach this high. If we come back down, that would make this roughly a 50% optimal trade entry, and that would allow for you to capture this daily volume imbalance, and so happens to be also a weekly volume imbalance because we have this wick that has traded above. Okay, so that's what I'm looking for this week. A take on buy side liquidity first, a drop down to equilibrium, and this liquidity down here. There's also this buy side as well that happens to encompass this entire range here. So this area of liquidity, very high probability that we attack that. This likely, if we attack this liquidity, then that liquidity likely will be attacked as well. Okay, cool. All right, so I know we're about half an hour in. I wanted to keep these tight and small. Higher time frame, we know we're looking bullish. We are looking for a bit of up down movement this week as well. But notice what we really want to see is this week close above this weekly sell side imbalance right here, because what you have right here is a buy side imbalance, and that's in premium. So this whole area, I would see this as an inversion fair value gap on the weekly chart. So if you see us bounce off of that weekly level, that weekly orange level down here, if we bounce off of that midweek and we just completely see displacement higher, I guarantee you that's going to aim for this weekly rejection block up here and then potentially taking out this high up here. W Trades, hey, good to see you, man. How are you doing, buddy? I'm tired, man. I'm tired. Work has been crazy. It's been taking me like, it's like the typical like 8 o'clock till like 6 o'clock so far. It's not a 9 to 5 anymore. Work has just been insane for me. And when you work from like 8 till 6 every day, one, you don't have time, like you don't have that time to hit that nice 7 to 8, like 6 to 8 morning time frame anymore. It's just like I have to spend time prepping for the day, prepping for my client work, and by the time I'm done in the evening, I can't even trade Asia because I gotta spend time like making dinner, spending time with the wife. So it's just become really, really hard with the full-time job. I hate to say it, but that's trading while you have a full-time job is much, much harder than I thought it would be. I thought I could find a way around it, but there's nothing you can do about. There's like sometimes that just take so much to drain you so much of your energy that's hard to do that. W Trades, have you checked the ICT 2024 mentorship yet? I have a little bit. So I've actually taken notes up until about, I think, the 10th lesson, maybe a 10th or 11th lesson. And there's some really fantastic things there. I really, really like I like Caleb's, the model that Michael's sending for his son, Caleb, to look for those real-time hour gaps, and looking for them to return halfway to them after it rejects off of a first presented gap. I think it's a phenomenal model. I back tested that, and it is insane how good of a model that is. Yes, there are times where it doesn't work, but that's with any model. But yeah, how about you, W Trades? Have you checked out any of the 2024 stuff as well? Or like, how are you trading now? Like what I'm kind of curious what you've found valuable in that area. If there's anything that like jumps out, let me know. I'm always interested in studying a little bit when I can. W Trade says, I watched it all. The notes I took from it took my trading to a next level. That's awesome, man. Dude, that's so killer. I love hearing, I love it hearing that traders are doing, able to create your model, able to like look for really specific liquidity. That's awesome, W Trades. Kudos to you. I wish you consistency. I wish that, I would love to hear someday. I'd love to get, a chat and saying like, hey, Johnny, I made it, like that. I can't wait for you to get there. But, I would love to see people that, I met here on YouTube. I'd love to see you all succeed and see you succeed too, W Trade. So that's really awesome, man. Keep up the good work. Keep up the hard work. That's not easy, man. That 2024 content was really, really long. So, let's see what W Trade says, especially the first presented fair value gap and the opening gap and how price moves around it all. Yes, exactly. Exactly. That model is phenomenal. It's so easy to see too. That's the thing. It's so easy. You can use all of the PD arrays that you learned about in 2016 mentorship in 2022, 2023. You can use all of those while you wait for the setup for the 2024 model to come into play. That's what I love about it, is all of these models that Michael's putting on, they all link together and they all like work well together. So yeah, I really like that, W Trades. I've been back testing that a little bit more, to try to just see what the heck's going on with it. But yeah, it's worked phenomenally. But all the other models actually work quite well too. It's just whether or not you are disciplined to see it and wait for it. I think that the real-time hour gap one, that's next level. I agree. That one is probably the simplest one because it's time-based. It's always there. It can't hide the real-time hour gap. It's always going to be there. So I love that model. I think it's one of the best models that he's released so far. And I hope Caleb is really successful with it, man. Like, I wish Caleb extreme success. So, W Trades, just don't forget to apply the higher time frame to your bias related to the opening gap, and you'll be okay. Cool. I love it. I love it, W Trades. Yeah, appreciate you dropping some knowledge in here. And yeah, I appreciate you coming on, man. It's good to hear from you. I apologize I haven't been able to trade as much during the week as well, but I definitely miss you all. I miss trading. I miss being there. So I'll have to do it little by little, if I'm Mondays are not my highest probability trade days. Fridays are a little better than Mondays, but Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays, I would much prefer trading those. But maybe this week, non-farm payroll, maybe we're going to just see us continue reaching higher for the week. I don't know, but we'll see. But yeah, so W Trades, keep me posted. When you hit your milestones, I would love to hear about them. Like drop a chat, drop a comment in any one of the videos, and I'll look forward to hearing all about and discussing 2024 content and strategy as I get through it. You know, some of those sessions, they're live. They're all like 4-hour live training sessions, so I can't like sit through all of them and take notes. I have to like spend my whole weekend just to get through like 2 or 3 of those. So it's gonna take me a little bit of time, but I hope hopefully I can get through them at some point and apply that to the trading. So thank you very much. I think that's it for us today, folks. Let me see if there's anyone else on here. So for there's 5 people here. So thank you so much for watching. Thank you. And yeah, right now, you know, just a quick recap. Bias is bullish. We're waiting to see price head above this weekly gap, and even more specifically this inversion fair value gap, this buy side imbalance. If you draw that out over time, its high is the same thing as this sell side imbalance, but we want to see us close above it, come back down next week, bounce straight off of that, and head higher. So hey Robert, Johnny, how are things? JP, what's going on, man? Dude, is that John? Okay, Jean Paul Incorporated. I like that. Is that JP? Hold on, let me see. Did you change your? Let me see. True. I don't think you changed your stuff, but let me see. I can't find anyone anymore. All right, well, that's great. Okay, well, anyways, yeah. Oh, gotcha. Different channel. Okay, dude, JP, I'll have to text you, man. Real work has taken it away from trading for a while, but man, I think I don't know what happened to I think I got kicked from Manny's server, actually. I don't see that on the Discords anymore, but that's okay. It's okay. I haven't had time to really like connect with folks, but yeah, Robert Mathers, good to see you. Things are tough. Things are tiring, man. Work is insane. I'm working from like 8 a.m. till 6 p.m. and then sometimes later in the evening to get ready for the next day. Lots of escalations happening, so it's not going to be a fun November and December, but I'm looking forward to the winter break. So yes, JP, I will definitely I'll let me give you a call over this weekend. I'll drop a note to myself to give you a call this weekend. It's been a long time, so it'll be good to catch up. Let me just drop something on the calendar. But yeah, Robert Mathers, yeah, I do need a haircut. Yeah. Yeah, Robert, I think I had hit a lot of success for a little bit, and then I hit this weird part where I like work got insane and work was just super stressful. I started taking trades that weren't disciplined and trying to make those back, so I lost a few thousand there. Not proud of that, but it was just so frustrating to see like thousands and thousands of dollars of growth, and then all of a sudden work just says, nope, you don't have time for this anymore. You need to focus on work. So I couldn't balance those well, and my mental took a little bit of a toll there. Thankfully, all the accounts are still fine. Just have to go back down to low risk to build them back up again, right? So they still have thousands of dollars in them, but I do need to build them up a little bit. So that's where I'm at right now. So yeah, yeah, I'll wife likes longer hair. What can I say, Robert? So yeah, cool. Well, yeah, I hope you're doing well too, Robert. Like JP, you know, hopefully you're doing well too, man. Like, I hope both y'all's trading is going well. W trades, you need to find 1 hour on your free time and build a model based on that time frame. Yeah, That's actually, I was trying to do Asia 7 till 9 p.m.s. Asia is doable, but it is not my favorite. It moves a lot slower sometimes. Now, I say this when Asia itself is up like 130 points already this session, but but I wasn't on at 6 o'clock. Sometimes life is there. You have to spend time. You gotta spend time with the family. So, yeah. But yeah, like Robert, I hope your trading's going really well, man. Um, Robert Matthews says, you'll pull through. Don't forget you have the best trading mentor in the world. You will make it. ICT always says to submit to time. Yes, exactly. Yeah. W Trades Asia is so slow. Yeah, it is slow. It is slow, but what can I do? I can't trade during New York, and I have to be at work now at like 8:30 a.m. So I can't even get to trade. Like if I'm lucky, I could trade maybe 7 till 8, but then I won't have breakfast. Then I'm hungry for the rest of the day. I don't have a good day at work. You see, there's a lot of things that cascade when you have like this full-time job, but the good thing about the full-time job is, it gets me benefits. I need like some healthcare benefits and stuff like that. So that's one good thing about the job. But I'm hoping that I'm still replaying stuff on the weekend. I'll go use NinjaTrader, has that playback feature. I love it because you can go back and play tick by tick, and I kind of play back specifically hours that I would have traded if I was focused on New York, for example, or 10 a.m. Silver Bullet, for example, or 2 p.m. Silver Bullet. Any of those have setups that happen all the time. I'm constantly perplexed by that because, like, even if I take a look at, like, so if I was looking at Friday, right? I think this is Friday's work. Friday was amazing. I mean, if you look at the 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. time frame, so this area here, we saw a high, low, higher high, lower low, and it came up to another fair value gap. But even in this case, we saw this breaker happen here, and then it just traded down for the rest of the day from there, right? So there's so many setups around like the 10 a.m. Silver Bullet that there's something there every single day. It's ridiculous. Hey, Infinitely, good to see you. How you doing? Robert Matthews, Asia is slow, but it's super reliable. Yeah, it just takes time. I agree. It takes patience. Yeah. Robert Matthews, Asia is quickly becoming one of my favorite sessions. Yeah, I have a group that I met through Apex. We were a group of folks that were given the full port flag on Apex Trading. And a lot of them are good guys. They trade Asia often. They trade every single session. They're full-time traders, and they just absolutely kill it. They've been doing Apex. They've been doing FTT, Top Step, My Funded Futures. Yeah, just like they take every single one of the prop firms and they milk them like crazy. I think one dude just requested like 30,000 in like 2 weeks. It's ridiculous. W Trades Friday was manual intervention, as Michael said. Oh, did he? I had not gotten a chance to read Friday's Michael stuff, but I knew that this was TGIF kind of a week, and I knew that we would likely retrace to none other than where is it? This was the weekly range here, right? So 20 to 30% of a retracement. I knew that that was going to happen, and I also knew that that's likely to happen on a Friday. So that's what I modeled my Friday trade off of, is looking for a TGIF trade. Infinitely great, thanks. Good to hear. Robert Mathers, trading's been going pretty decently, but I did get wrecked on Thursday, even ICT. Let me see what Thursday. Yeah, I wasn't able to trade on Thursday, so let me see what that looked like. Oh my God. This is what Thursday looked like. Hold on, let me make sure I'm on the right day. Oh my God. This is, yeah, Thursday's ugly. I don't know how anyone could have survived in this. This is nasty. My God, Robert. Um, yeah. Thankfully, I was able to recover 75% of my Thursday losses on Friday. Okay, good job. Good job, buddy. That's awesome, Robert. You're that's so good to hear. Um, 9:30 opening took us to a higher time frame buy side liquidity. On Friday it did. Yeah. Okay, I see that. Yeah. I do remember seeing that. 9 a.m. I had that written out as well. I don't. You can't see this on this chart, but there's relative equal highs up here, so I did see that happen. And that's also another reason why I was looking for that short because I saw a failure swing, when it came down below. So yeah, that's a good IW trades. Yeah. But yeah, for now, I'm watching this bearish order block. I'm not paying much credence to it because we're macro bullish, but I don't foresee us not coming back. This is such a obvious little gap here. And then you can also, if I go down to the 1 minute chart, this is the incorrect first presented fair value gap. That actually should be first fair value gap. Let me make sure this isn't one here. High 20546.75, low 20547. Yeah, that doesn't count as a gap. I think this is the first one up here. So this is the first one that I would run for the next 3 days and see how it reacts off of that first presented fair value gap there. I think usually I would run this across 3 days. So 25, 27, 28, 20, 25, 27, 29. And I'd run that to the end of the day on the 29th because it's going to refer back to that for 3 days is what ICT says. But yeah, I think it's going to refer to that. And then we're going to come back down and refer to this giant liquidity void in the new week opening gap. Robert Mathers says, look at the daily Thursday candle. Let's take a look at that. Yep. That was Friday. Oh, that's weekly. Sorry. Friday, Thursday. Oh, it was an inside candle. I see you gave amazing insight when you have an inside candle like that. That's why everyone got wrecked on Thursday and why Friday just mooned. Okay. Yeah, I see that happen a lot when there's an inside candle. Same thing when there's a candle which fully engulfs, like this one here, this one over here. When you see a candle which fully engulfs both sides and favors one other side, that's when you start to look for like really big movements down. And that's what we saw on that session. So when we see the opposite here, I agree. We came back down into this like weekly volume imbalance. I think that was, if I recall correctly. Yeah, there's some sort of imbalance down there. I can't remember what time frame, but maybe that was something else. But yeah, that's absolutely crazy. I'm waiting for a market structure shift so I can short to the new week opening gap. I like that. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Outside candle also signals. Yeah, I'm looking, yeah, short term change in state of delivery is what I'll be looking for as well. I think that it'll be a little bit before we see a market structure shift, but it's possible. I mean, we're consolidating here, right? But it's hard for me to not be bullish on the market right this moment. If we close above this weekly level, I need to see that. We can wick down below this week. I agree. But I would prefer us seeing it close and come back down and pop back out, take this liquidity out, because there's all this buy side that has stop losses out here, and there's this liquidity that needs to be rebalanced. So this is fair value down here. So I agree. I would like to look at a change in state of delivery, and have it take this out. Robert Mathers, look at gold and SI weekly. Tell me buy side imbalance doesn't call to you. Oh man, I don't know anything about those, man. I stick to the indices, and Nasdaq's really my main one right now. So I notice when I start to focus on other non-correlateds that I perform worse than if I just focused all my time on Nasdaq and S&P, E-mini S&P 500, and the Dow, of course. I always look at those three when I'm looking at charts to see whether or not the markets are in tune with each other. And right now, I mean, it's an interesting like mixed bag on Dow. If I look at the weekly chart on S&P 500 and I look at the weekly chart on Dow, it's just so different. I don't like the Dow very much, but I know people that trade the Dow exclusively, so I think that they definitely can do what they want. But for now, we're gonna look to see. So this again, this is the 1900. Where's the 1800 here? So this is the market open here. This is the first hour of trading. You've got the low at the new week opening gap low. So initial balance low is there. This is the initial balance high. That's what I call IBH. So once we traverse below this level, and we've seen this nice little removal, we need to see, does it go far enough below? Do we give a big enough move below these relative equal lows down here? So you can kind of see these relative equal lows down here. Oops. Okay, so we have these relative equal lows down here that we just took out, right? So we need to see what happens here now. Do we travel further down into these inequalities, right? Do we travel down to these equal lows? So you see these three here? These are relative equal lows. They're the same value. So for that reason, I like these a lot. I like this target a lot down here. I think it's just waiting to get taken here. Robert Matthews, I'm looking at that Sibi that's for me. Yep, I agree. We have displacement below. High, low, higher, high. What else do we have here? High, low. We have a bearish breaker potentially as well. So let me get my trade copier ready. I want to see if I can catch this trade here. Where's my trade copier? Here it is. 7 micro NASDAQ. Let's copy on all of my accounts. And let's only do 2 multiple. And then I'll also cross. No, I'll just do 10 micros here on the. Okay, cool. Let me take a look and see what we got here. So I want to take that. I want to see. Yeah, I actually like this here. I might take that trade here. Let me see. There's a volume imbalance up there that I want to start that trade off on. Let me see if I can also copy it to a sim trade. Hold on. Sim 101. So basically this is, let's see if this copies here or not, but NASDAQ hit a volume imbalance before it hit the micro NASDAQ volume imbalance. So let's see. So basically there's a sell side a sell side breaker that I want to use. I want to see it trade up to that breaker and instantly reject, or trade up to this imbalance and no more than the 50% mark of that imbalance though. Okay. Okay, so let me see if I can somehow switch this. I took a trade on Sim, a short there, but let me see if I can show you here. So I'm taking a short with the idea, let's see if I can get this to maximize here. So I'm taking this short with the idea that we have relatively equal lows down here. I'm gonna take this knowing that this could stop us out. I'm gonna keep my stop above this fair value gap, and we're gonna see if we are able to catch anything here. Okay. What I don't want to see, us trade above the, and close much above the midpoint of this here. It very well could, but I like this displacement here. I think it's good enough for a potential entry. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a short on the Sim 102 here that will mimic, should mimic roughly where I'm at on the other one. And my stop loss is here on micro NASDAQ, and my take profit is down at 205.89. I think it's right around there. So that's what my trade looks like right now. Can you check the 15-second chart for MA Premium? We'll see if we... Oh, we might get stopped out here. Yeah, we might get stopped out here, but that's why we keep our stop above that fair value gap, right? So we got stopped out there. So, you know, a trade didn't work out. That's fine. It might have just spiked above. Maybe we should have kept our stop above here, but I'm not going to mess around with that, right? Like that was like $20 of a stop loss. So not that sad about that, right? It didn't work out. It might continue lower from here. I don't know. But yeah, so 15-second chart, there's quite a handful of volume imbalances up here. So it could have cleared all of these for sure. But I'm not convinced that it's ready to go short yet. This type of movement looks like it just took this sell side liquidity and it's going to continue reaching higher for the short term. It's not like this type of movement you don't like to typically see unless it just completely dies here. But it took out this liquidity and did not reach down into this buy side imbalance before it continued heading higher. So, yeah, you know, it was worth a shot, worth a little trade. It's fun to see if there's a setup that would occur there. And it's okay that it didn't work out. Maybe it works out now and continues. Maybe. But that's going to be it for me tonight. I got to go get ready for work, unfortunately. So yeah, we'll try to get that one back another day. Not too worried about that one. So, everybody, thank you very much. It's good seeing you. Good seeing everybody here. Hope you all have a great week trading, and good luck this week. It's going to be a lot of red folders, lots of volatility going on. And yeah, we'll see how high this thing ends up going, running up before the election. So good seeing you all. Trade safe, okay? Yeah, we'll catch up soon, okay? Happy trading. Exactly. Happy trading, everybody. Take care. See you later.